Okay, so I really can't help myself constantly updating the play of this guy who says he's the best that ever played, John Cerasani. I think it's a quite extraordinary claim for anyone to make, and I can't let it go unchallenged. I'm sorry. Obviously, the guy has enormous self confidence, and it seems that that's the kind of lingua franca these days, is to just big yourself up bigly, and just hope that nobody calls you on it. Before I get into this, there's one thing that I do have to confess to, and that is this is highly annoying for me anyway. He has John Cerasani has this thing where he surrenders frequently. For instance, in this sample, 68 times, and his methodology is to say, "Okay, I'm going to surrender, and then I'm going to take the half of the bet that I save and add it to the next bet." So if he surrenders at 1500, then he takes 750 and adds it to 1500, and the next bet is 2250. It's an absolutely crazy idea. It cannot possibly work, but I'm sorry to have to tell you, so far it does. 68 times in the sample since I started tracking King Goat, and his total action with those particular bets under that heading, 116,700. The bets themselves are ahead 4.4%, +3 out of 68. But what really gets my goat is he's ahead 15,300 on total action of 116,700, which is 13.1%. Now, it is highly probable, mathematically predictable, actually, that over time that will even out, and it'll be sort of like a random nothingness. But for the time being, he's being proven right, and I felt I had to admit that before going any further. Okay, so now this update simply covers his latest post, which is blackjack at the Venetian. And as always, he talks so much that it's unusual for him to manage a hand a minute on average. And it really is quite extraordinary. I mean, at 42 hands, he was in 42 minutes and 50 seconds. So, that tends to bear out what I'm saying. But the guy loves to talk. He loves to present everything that he's doing as being absolutely perfect and brilliant, and no argument against it. He never produces any evidence, any numbers. He keeps saying that he wins at every casino that he's ever visited, ever played at. He's never lost. That's, of course, mathematically, well, you could say improbable. That might be as far. I'll be kind and just say improbable. This particular session, he won 5,250. He had the wind behind him all the time. In other words, he was winning more bets than he lost throughout this session. It was up and down, but I mean, he was being pretty well taken care of by the house. See, we started at 69 and he went to 70, came back down to 69 here, but most of the time he was ahead. He ended up at 71, so that means that, as I say, the wind was at his back. It therefore was also helpful to Pattern Betting's algorithm, which bet very differently. I mean, he bets crazy amounts. His average bet was 1,004, and he won 5.2 of those. Algy's average bet was 131, and Algy won 13.5 times his average bet. It was 1,775 instead of 5,250. That's in about an hour, which without all the nattering would have been 25 minutes maybe. So not a bad return for either one of us. The problem with King Cerasani's huge bets, of course, is that when he gets really up against it, he's got nowhere to go. The table that he was at, 500 minimum, 5,000 maximum, a 1 to 10 spread it's fine as long as you're sort of like bumping along on a fairly kind of average playing field, not tilted too far against you, not too stressful. But a spread of 1 to 10 is useless if you get into serious difficulty. He did not this time, so whatever. His extra bets, which I always I sort of recommend people should have nothing to do with, cost him 2,000. So it just wasn't a good idea. It usually isn't a good idea. Last time it only cost him 500. So far, I mean, since I started tracking him, his extra bets, his multis, as I call them, have hit him hard in the wallet. 26,250 in the toilet extra. He is actually ahead for this sample. To the tune of 91,850, and that's commendable. I tend to think that what he's doing is he's only posting. He's selecting very carefully the sessions that he posts, and I can only use the sessions that he posts. So, I'm somewhat unconvinced about the state of play as far as that goes. But anyway, let's check and see where we're at. The algorithm is at 127,000, betting against exactly the same outcomes as King Cerasani, the GOAT. That's what it looks like in terms of the way that the algorithm is behaving. The way that it's progressing, and as you can see, it's a steady process up towards the top there. We're actually, this is a little behind. I need to update those graphs. I've forgotten to add the latest lot, so I'm stopping. Okay, so the the graph, the chart, is up to date now, and all I was saying before was that you can see the progress that the algorithm makes. Yes, there's a couple of really nasty little drops here and there, but the thing that strikes you immediately, certainly strikes me, and I think probably anybody else who's watching this and taking it seriously, is that this is the actual value. This is how you would get on if you were betting flat, and it's just kind of uncanny the way that King Cerasani's performance tracks the flat bet. So in other words, he's just proving that random betting and flat betting are the same thing essentially. So he's a little bit ahead right now, but he's not hugely ahead. He's not doing terribly, but he's not kicking ass by any means. I'm just hoping that he's not hiding losing sessions, because really the only way that you can consistently beat the house like this is if you're cherry picking your what you're actually sort of putting up. I don't do that. I don't need to do that. The algorithm is absolutely straightforward. There may well be a couple of little flaws in the damn thing, but the most important thing about it is it doesn't make the same stupid mistakes that I do when I'm playing. I do daft things every so often because I just lose track, or I don't know. I certainly don't get sloshed on dirty martinis or Bloody Marys or whatever, but I do lose track once in a while. So the algorithm is, as far as I'm concerned, pretty much perfect. Right now it's playing to a max of 25,000, minimum of 25, max of 25,000. The win is 9.6% of total action, which is good. It's very good. Let's go down and see what Cerasani's doing. And he's the AV is 4.4% overall. It was minus 4.4%, and that's the gross figure. The gross figure simply says, okay, that's a loss, that's a loss, that's a loss, that's a loss, that's a win, that's a win. So in other words, it counts this as one and not two, and it counts this double loss here as minus one and not minus two. When you even things out, when you sort of like give each bet its proper rating, you'll then get a different figure, a net figure, and it's 4.3%. It flips the house edge to 4.3%. That's just unlikely, but this is all the information that he's providing to his many fans, or should we call them subjects, given that crown that he's grabbed for himself. He's at 91,850 right now, 2.8% of his total action instead of 4.4%, which is where he should be. His exposure is 73,800, kind of high. The algorithm has so far managed to grab 127,000 on action, which is a little bit more than a third of his. So Algae is at 9.6%, as I said before. Spreads, he has spread 50 to 1 from 200 to 10,000 so far. Algae has spread from 25 to 25,000, so 1,000 to 1. But please understand, I'm not saying that anybody should think for even a second about betting at this kind of level. The message I'm trying to get across is simply that if you don't bet at this kind of level, you will lose. It's really that simple, So all I'm saying, in great part, this is based on 40 plus years of really intensive research and intensive playing of blackjack in Nevada while I lived there. But in part, it's just a matter of common sense. You must win more when you win than you lose when you lose in order to compensate for the fact that over time, unless you're cherry picking your data sets, over time you're going to lose more bets than you win. It's just absolutely guaranteed. That's what the house advantage is for, and it does a very good job. So it's just hard to know what to make of someone like King Cerasani, the GOAT. Just to go back up here, his average bet 1,004 this time. He won 5.2. Algae's average bet 131. So it's like, what is that, like an eighth? And Algae won 13.5 times his average bet. This time, coincidentally, the average, the AV was a player edge of 4.2%. So JC Goat should have made 3,644. Instead, he made 5,250, which is an improvement, obviously. 144% of what was indicated. And indicated simply means if you take his total action and you multiply it by the AV percentage, you will get a value. Okay, 3,644 is the value for him. 5,250 is his actual. For Algae, the value is 387 and the actual is 1775. So, big difference. Coming down to the bottom here again, he won sort of around about 10%. But see, his win here, 7,250, is just for his left-hand bets. I only track the left. I only care about the left-hand bets because I think this multi-hand betting is just bloody stupid, but lots of people do it. And the casinos love it. I mean, they absolutely love it. Because, think what happens. The dealer gets a natural, some twerp has got 3 hands out, boom, they're all gone. They're dead. And they might be 320s. They might even be sort of whatever. They won't be 321s because there'd be no more dealing. But what I'm saying is they could be 3 super strong hands, 20 each, and then the dealer flips over a natural, and that's it. Game over. So, yeah. So what did I say? I said that. So really, his win is here. Okay, 5,250, because you take that amount, which is the left hand, the first base bets, and then you add in the silly multis that cost 2,000. It cost him 2,000 this time, so that brought his win down to 5,250. And he calls it 5,000, but then he tipped the dealer 200, which that's probably about right. I mean, a lot of these guys are really stupid. They tip the dealers way, way too much, but they're showing off. I mean, basically, it's a kind of, uh, I don't know. It's just sort of saying, "Look at me. I've got loads more money than you do. You poor dealer over there, sort of getting paid 17.50 an hour if you're lucky." So I'm going to put a bet out for 500 for you. I don't know. It's just I think it's degrading for dealers, but they probably don't feel the same way. I mean, I was always a decent tipper, but not a silly tipper. Let me put it that way. Anyway, that's Mr. Cerasani for now. And I didn't tell you what pattern betting did in terms of percentage. The player edge this time was 4.3%, and pattern betting turned that into a win of 23%, plus 23%. So from plus 4.3 to plus 22.9. And that's only done by making sure that your average winning bet, which for pattern betting this time was 1,775. Sorry, 208. That's here. That's the total win. So sorry about that. The average win was 208. Average loss was 122. So the average win value over the average loss value, 170%. So there you have it. Over and out. Next time. Okay, and something I think is worth adding here is dealer 22s. I've got my campaign. I've been doing it now for a few months. But this ridiculous business where the casinos finally cotton on to the fact that dealer busting by one is costing them money, so they jump on a couple of games that turn dealer 22 from a losing proposition to a winner and make it a push. So in other words, they don't actually take the player's money, but they don't pay the win, even if the win is 21. If it's a natural, then the natural is paid immediately. But otherwise, any result that the player gets, if the dealer gets 22, it's a push. It's absolutely outrageous. It's so bloody greedy. It's sort of like it's stupefying. But anyway, King Cerasani this time had 9 of them, and I think the total was, I think it was 11,500. But let's have another look. 2,000, 3,500, 4,000, 5,500, 7,000, 8,000, 9,500, 10,000, 11,000. 11,000 he was paid on dealer 22 busts. And if he'd been promoting one of those shitty games that the casinos have come up with, free bet, blackjack and double down madness, he'd have been out 11 grand. And he won 5,000 on the session, so that would have been bad news. He would have been out against the same outcomes. He would have been out of pocket 6,000. So it's just worth noting these things, I think.